Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Greetings, welcome. Today we're going to talk about Deadpool Wolverine and how it is probably the most underrated religious film ever made. You've heard me right.
Promise you, I'm looking into it.
There are some crazy similarities between these two superheroes and the divine journey of Jesus. Now, you might not see Deadpool cracking jokes while turning water into wine. Both Deadpool and Wolverine, through their films, have been on a unique path of suffering, sacrifice, and even, obviously, resurrection and redemption. They're going through their own hero's journey. They've gotten shot so many times they're basically holy men already.
Besides, nobody's getting hurt.
Let's fucking go! I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
In this now famous scene, it's very interesting that he even says, I am. Very important biblical reference. I am that I am what I am. And there's numerous other quotes in the Bible about I am. Marvel Jesus. It's almost like they want you to experience and wonder Jesus. But many people misconstrue that, and they just say, well, he's just saying upon himself that he is I am Jesus. But if you look at it a different way, it's almost like they want you to experience and walk the path like Jesus in a way. But that's just my take on it. Jesus should be very obvious, the crucifixion, betrayal, and the literal weight of humanity on his shoulders, to the point of him probably saying, hey, Wolverine, hold my cross. Oh yeah, Wolverine was on the cross. Wolverine is basically a walking, talking example of perpetual agony. Deadpool could be as well. His physical body is kind of like stuck in that perpetual state of disfigurement. There's the scene where Wolverine is asked,
when they come out, does it hurt?
Every time.
and that could very well be a metaphor for the struggle between violence that he inflicts and then the suffering it causes him in return. That whole thing of violence begets violence. And Wolverine's a living testament to that. It's a pretty deep connection.
Fucking problem.
Is that what you said when your world went to shit?
Come again.
This Wolverine let down his entire world.
Want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Go fuck yourself.
If Wolverine's the brooding martyr, then Deadpool is the class clown at the Last Supper. He's the gesture of pain. Every time he regenerates, it's like a twisted resurrection, but he makes a joke out of it. It's almost like he's saying, yeah, life hurts, but what are you going to do, cry about it? Going back to the Jesus or Bible reference, here he is turning water into wine, but Deadpool's jokes aren't just about comic relief. They're his way of coping with suffering. It's like he's turning his pain into punchlines.
I take it all back. The Honda Odyssey fucks hard.
And that is exactly how an alchemist transforms lead into gold, just like Jesus turned water into wine. Both Deadpool and Wolverine are like modern alchemists transforming darkness into light. Deadpool with his humor, Wolverine with his reluctant heroism. It's all about taking, whether it's raw suffering or a negative experience, and making something, well, less terrible out of it. Another connection with alchemy would be their masks. They have that dark patch kind of like on their face masks, but then their eyes are like solid white. The black of their masks with the light of their eyes, it almost makes me think of, an enlightened being, the eye enlightened. Of course, the biblical references are plenty about a light and the dark. A very kind of yin-yang kind of thing too, very dualistic. Both Wolverine and Deadpool have sacrificed themselves for children, for other people. In Logan, Wolverine makes the ultimate sacrifice, laying down his life to save a child, the next generation. He doesn't get crucified in that film. He gets impaled, but he did get crucified in the comics and in this movie as well. We see him there suffering for the sake of others or his own mistakes. And that's kind of like up to how you perceive it, I guess. And then Deadpool has his moments as well. Yeah, I know, Deadpool, the guy who'll joke his way through a gunfight, but when it counts, he's willing to sacrifice himself, like when he risked it all to save a kid from becoming a murderer in Deadpool 2. It's a twisted version of saving the world, but filled with explosions and cuss words. But hey, a win's a win. Both of these characters sacrifice themselves over and over again for people they care about, for causes bigger than themselves. It's messy, it's violent, it's full of questionable decisions, but at the heart of it, they're walking a path of sacrifice, much like Jesus. Now let's talk about symbols. You've probably noticed that both Deadpool and Wolverine have something in common with the X. Wolverine wears it on his uniform as the X-Men. Deadpool rocks katanas on his back, forming an X. But did you know that the X is actually a Greek symbol for Christ? Talk about a divine connection. Another interesting connection with the sword is many people think of Jesus being the Prince of Peace. And in the Bible, it also mentions something like, I did not come to bring peace, but the sword. Another thing mentioned would be, don't sell your sword. If you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy a sword. Another symbol that's very interesting found on Deadpool would be his belt buckle. The circle with like a line through it almost. Let me tell you about it. Well, let me tell you. It almost kind of represents the symbol of Phi. It definitely holds some spiritual, metaphysical, and even occult significance. And it could connect to enlightenment, Jesus, and of course occult knowledge. But Phi being the circle with the line through it. Now, sometimes in the comics, you'll see his enlightened eyes of Deadpool either kind of like more centered, where it's kind of like a cross within the circle, a very ancient symbol found in numerous ancient cultures and occult books, maybe. But then sometimes in some of the older comics, you'll see the eyes maybe a little bit lower to where it's offset from the center. And some people could say, well, that kind of looks like a upside down cross. Some people may say, well, that's Antichrist. Well, St. Peter had an upside down cross. But going back to Phi, I mean, that could be a whole another video just on what the symbol of Phi means and its, metaphysical, spiritual, enlightenment, occult knowledge aspect. But real quickly, I mean, it's almost like a balance, the perfect balance between divine consciousness, Christ consciousness. And for Deadpool to be wearing that's quite intriguing. Now let's dive into something a bit more esoteric, Wolverine's claws. It's very interesting how he has 3 on one side and 3 on the other. 33. Now, if you know anything about Freemasonry, numerology, or even a little bit about the Bible, you know 33 comes up quite a bit. It's a heavy number. And 33, well, in Freemasonry, 33 represents the highest degree of enlightenment, supposedly. And when we talk about Jesus, he was crucified at what age? 33. Coincidence? I'll leave that up to you. Of course, these guys, they have resurrection abilities. They're rising every time they get knocked down, shot, stabbed. I mean, these guys come back like it's Easter Sunday every day. Another interesting point is both Wolverine and Deadpool are walking, talking, reluctant messiahs. Now, Jesus had a divine mission, but these two, they kind of stumbled into it. They're almost anti-heroes, full of flaws, anger, and bad jokes, but in the end, they save people, sometimes against their will. They embody this Christ consciousness thing, whether they like it or not. Wolverine is the lone messiah. He didn't ask to be a hero. He's almost burdened by it, but he still chooses to save, protect, and sacrifice. He's stepping into that role over and over as savior. And then we have Deadpool, who's basically the anti-messiah in every way imaginable. Even through the chaos, the quips, and the gore, there's a weird kind of redemption arc happening. He's saving people while sacrificing his shot at happiness and walking his own twisted version of the path, taking the more scenic route through explosions and profanity. Sure, they don't exactly embody sainthood, but they are both reflective elements of Christ's journey through suffering, sacrifice, and ultimately redemption, resurrection. They fight for not really the sake of fighting, but for others, an ideal. And who really doesn't love a good comeback story? Thanks for watching. If you like this deep, weird dive into superhero spirituality and ancient symbolism, hit that like button and subscribe. But hey, drop a comment. Which superhero do you think is the most like Jesus? Is it Captain America, Iron Man? Let me know and maybe we'll break it down in the next episode. And remember, whether you're healing from a bad day or regenerating from a metaphorical grenade, don't forget to find the humor in it all. See you next time. Oh, what? You're still here? You've made it to the end? Congratulations, that deserves a bonus. And boy, do I have one for you. Wolverine has his mask on, and it has those two horns, and he's all greased up. And well, here's the connection in the Bible. It mentions the horn of salvation quite a few times, actually. I will cut off the horns of all the wicked, but the horns of the righteous will be lifted up. And Wolverine lifts up his mask with the horns on. You have exalted my horn like that of a wild ox. Fine oils have been poured upon me. And at the very end, Wolverine comes out with Deadpool with his mask on, horns, and his chest is all oily, glistening, where Deadpool even makes a reference to,
All right, put your greasy tits away, you preening slut.
"In the Lord, my horn is lifted high. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David." Let me know if you think they purposely put that in there to reference the Bible or not.
It's over. Go home. Go.